right, everybody, welcome back. We're having some technical difficulties. I'm having to run this off of my phone today, so I'm not sure how this is going to work, but go ahead and do the best that I can do. Somehow my computer is just not working today, so we'll see how it works out. Basically, normal live agenda, though, we'll talk about some of the key advice. We'll go over some of the key selected terms and places and figures. We'll have some tips on the short answer, and then we can go through AP advice and do our normal question and answer session. Maybe I'll try to keep it a little bit shorter just due to the technical difficulties that I'm having. Okay, I would say, first of all, you want to make sure that you're writing some things down from this. You're going to want to make sure that you have that into pretty good order and into pretty good positioning on your review sheet. Maybe use the back of your review sheet, whatnot. Of course, always pray for the right things. You want to keep things in perspective. Remember that this is just a quiz paper. It's not the end of the world. It is the first quiz of the marking period, so it'd be helpful to get a good one in the books. Number 3, always be here now, no matter what. I'm going through some adversity right now with the internet, but that's not a big deal. We'll make do with what we can. If you are here, go ahead and let me know in the comments that you're here. And I do have a commercial break in the middle of this that might be interesting for some of you to take a look at. Okay, I think that the first thing that I'd like to go over is Justinian's Code. If you recall, Justinian's Code is another one of those major codes of laws, right? So when we think about Justinian's Code, it had really 4 different parts, okay? And one of the things that you really need to know, this could be a very big possibility for a short answer question. So you're gonna wanna know, of course, the ideologies of the code, the digest, the institutes, and then, of course, the novella. Those are really the 4 key components of Justinian's Code of Laws. Now, I'm not going to go through what each one is defined as. I've already done that in the notes, and it's also in the textbook. So you have those opportunities there to be successful. Next, let's take a look at the word sultan. Sultan was one that a lot of people had a lot of questions about today in class. So a sultan is really just another word for king or leader or ruler. That's really all it is. Sultan is another word for king, leader, ruler. Very similar to Shah, okay? But nonetheless, that's the next term, is a Shah. Shah is a king or ruler of the Seljuks. Sultan is more of a ruler like in the Turkish area. Shah is specific to the Seljuks. That would be, I think, hopefully that will clear up some of the ideologies there and some of the questions. Next key term is the term vizier. A vizier is a political leader in the Seljuk Empire, and in particular, it's the position of prime minister. Okay, so really like second in command to the Shah or to the other ideologies. Okay, next is Tsar. Tsar is the term used in Russia to refer to the emperor or ruler. It's basically an expansion of the old Roman term Caesar. A lot of questions today about patriarch. The patriarch is from the end of section 1, and information can be found on page 305. The patriarch was the leading bishop of the Eastern Orthodox Church and also the leading bishop of the Byzantine Catholic Church. So you've got Roman Catholic and then you've got Eastern Orthodox. Those are the 2 ideologies there. That being said, you've got the Eastern Orthodox Church. There's a large chart and description on page 305. I would strongly urge you to check out that page for any information regarding the Eastern Orthodox Church. Next up is Princess Olga. Princess Olga was the one from Kiev that traveled to Constantinople and there publicly converted to Christianity. She was the first member of the Kievan nobility to do so. So she really is influential in bringing Christianity to the Russian city of Kiev. Okay, another key figure is Ivan III. Ivan III was a prince of Moscow. Now, he's not from Kiev, he's not from Novgorod, he's a prince of Moscow. He's the first to openly challenge Mongol rule. And he, like a Kievan prince, Yaroslav the Wise, did use marriage as a political tool to gain power and influence. Next is Vladimir. Okay, Vladimir is the grandson of Princess Olga. He expanded Kiev to the west and to the north, and he chose Byzantine Christianity for Kiev and had all of the citizens baptized in the Dnieper River, which really spreads Christianity in that regard. Okay, we got Yaroslav the Wise next. Yaroslav was Vladimir's son. Just one second. Okay, once again, Yaroslav was Vladimir's son. He continued to expand, of course, the Kievan Empire, but he created alliances by using marriage. He also used marriage as a political tool. He married off his daughters and created the first code of laws in Kiev and also the first library of Kiev. So those are some of the key things that he ended up doing. He also made a mistake by dividing up his empire to his several sons, which didn't work out all that well for him because they fought over the best lands, and then that weakened the Kievan Empire. A lot of questions about Alexander Nevsky today. Nevsky was actually a military hero in Russia, and he was the prince of the city of Novgorod. But even though he was very, very powerful militarily, he even convinced his fellow Russians to simply cooperate with the Mongols, not to try and fight against them. He saw them as a very formidable power. And so he kind of convinces them, like Ivan the First did, not to really fight back. Finally, on the concept of key figures, we have Malik Shah. Malik Shah was the last and most effective Seljuk ruler and or leader. Okay, I'm going to try this. I had a commercial break, but I'm having a lot of technical difficulties. So let's see if the commercial break today will work. Let's see. We had somebody do a nice video for us. Let's keeping the fingers crossed here. Let's see what happens.
Oh. So, where's the car? It's here at the Nebraska Field House. What time? 7 p.m. sharp. What's the theme? USA. Anything else? Go Eagles! Be there or be square.
I ain't got no chill.
A little bit of silliness there with the volleyball team, but they do want you to come. They want the Realm to be there to represent, no doubt about it. They went with the USA theme. I heard that a couple times in the Realm today. It's a playoff game. It is the final home game of the year. So I'd really like to see the Realm show up and represent. I think you guys are the best fans in the league, no doubt. Really love what you guys do when you come out there and have fun. I just want to see the Realm well represented. So that would be awesome if you could come and support the team. Okay, let's talk a little bit of short answer now. I want to talk about a couple of things. First of all, most of the short answer are going to come from the review sheet. There's not many tricky things here. I'm looking at the quiz right now. I'm looking at the short answer questions. I've got one version with 4, and I've got one version with 6. I think the most important thing to think about is reading through your notes and knowing the notes very well. But I'll give you one key clue, which is the Nika Rebellion / Nika Riots. I think you really should focus in on that. If you don't remember what I taught you about it, you could always look it up. It was basically a big rebellion against Justinian, where he sent in the military led by Belisarius, the military general, and about 30,000 fans in the Hippodrome were slaughtered and lost their lives. And this was a really controversial thing. So I think the Nika Rebellion is one of the most important things that you can focus on for getting ready for the short answer questions. Let's see, while you're all here, let me give you guys something to go off of here. I would say Rise and fall of the Byzantine Empire, rise and independence movement of the Russian Empire. Of course, the Mongol Empire, like what was going on there? What did they accomplish, right? So those are some of the key things that I would focus on for the short answer. Okay, AP tips and suggestions. First off, I think it's important to focus on the Mongols and also Silk Road trade. I think that those are two really important themes that you really want to have down there. Mongols and also Silk Road trade. Really, that's the AMSCO reading, right? Also, Mongols and nomads. Like the Mongols were nomadic. They moved from place to place, right? So you want to understand the impact that nomadic groups like the Mongols had on places like Russia, okay, and the Byzantine Empire. So those are some other key important tips to study from the AMSCO reading. And then finally, what are some things that the Byzantine Empire accomplished in comparison to the ancient Roman Empire? Sometimes you're going to find words that like antiquity. The word antiquity is referring to ancient Rome. So that's something that you really want to keep into consideration when you're getting ready to answer AP questions, especially possibly a SAQ. You want to be able to talk about, hey, what did the Byzantine Empire accomplish in comparison to what was accomplished before? Okay, that's sort of my talk, a lot shorter today, but I do want to go into question and answer session. So I'll start to work the comments and we can kind of go from there. All right, let's see. Can somebody tell me in the comments, can you hear? Is it looking normal for you? Because I'm definitely using my phone instead. I've never done that before. But is everything looking good there? Pierre says, who is Empress? Let's see, I'm going to go up to the top here. This is the first question that I'm seeing. I see right here. Who was Alexander Nevsky? What did he accomplish? I did go over that in the key figure, so I just kind of went over him. Hopefully you were paying attention there. Empress Theodora was Justinian's wife. Okay, Empress Theodora was Justinian's wife, so that's definitely one of the important ideologies that you'll need to know in class. I kind of went through a key term, a key primary source that she was a big part of, and so that was something that was important to pay attention to. Master Borby says he and Master Billy can't come because of intramural football. I mean, I get it, but we need your support. You guys are the big ballers of the student section. What's going on, man? We need you guys there. Come on in after your intramural game. Take care of business and get back in there. Sure. Master Jack asks about the Mamluks. Yeah, the Mamluks are basically slaves. They come from throughout the area that the Seljuk Turks controlled, and they also came from Egypt. And basically, they are taken as young children. Sometimes they're Christians. They're taken as young children. They're made as military slaves, and they're utilized in the Seljuk Turkish armies. Well, you know, Genghis Khan was probably the most powerful of the Mongol leaders. And one of the things that you want to understand about Genghis Khan is that he did create one of the world's largest continuous empires. Brendan, the Khanate of the Golden Horde is the name that the Mongols gave to their lands in Russia. Chloe, Genghis Khan is the most famous Mongol leader. I'm not going to be going over the key groups tonight. No, there's just too much to go over with them. You need to know pretty much everything about them. You need to know the geographic region in which they controlled. You need to know some of the key figures that were mentioned, some of the key cities. So there's just way too much to go over. You need to go over that to the best of your ability. Saint Cyril and Methodius, they are two Byzantine missionaries that traveled into Russia to basically try and convert a group of people called the Slavs. And the Slavs couldn't read the Bible because it was in Greek. So they created their own alphabet called the Cyrillic alphabet, in which they could transfer the Bible, and they went from there. Well, the Seljuks pretty much did everything talked about in Section 3. That's what Section 3 was all about. They controlled a lot of area in Turkey. They controlled a lot of area in the Middle East. They fought with the Mongols, and they expanded trade during that time. No, I'm already at what am I at, 450 something? Um, no, I don't think so. I'd rather you guys go to the game. I think there'd be maybe more extra credit if the stands are the whole side is full, and if the only way I'm doing extra credit is if there's at least 100 members of the realm there. That's it, and I have 140 students, so that would be the only way. And I want to have good cheering for the girls too. Good cheering. Ooh, we got trash talk here. You guys can go after you lose. Wow, that's a pretty good one. Anthony, can you describe the rise and independence movement of the Russian Empire? Well, they rose under Kiev. Really, Kiev was the way that they rise to power. And then one of the things that I would say, the independence movement is when the Russian military under Ivan III fights back against the Mongols, even though they didn't really even have to fight. They just put an army together that was formidable, and the Mongols kind of dipped out and kind of said, well, we're on our decline and we're out of here. Yeah, Jack, I think I wouldn't consider Genghis, knowing what Genghis Khan did, I would not consider Genghis a key baller. Now, Genghis Khan is, I mean, really widely known in history, and he did create a very large empire. He was a strong ruler, but he committed a lot of atrocities. I mean, most of these guys did, so it's hard to really classify him as a key baller. Here, Francis, some of the key places. I mean, Kiev, Novgorod, right? Moscow, Constantinople. Those are some of the big places that you want to know, right? Elena, the Slavs were basically the Slavic peoples. They were kind of the earliest inhabitants of early Russia, and then they mixed and blended in with the Vikings. Okay, and so that mixing and blending led to really a unified culture of Vikings / Slavs, and that's what kind of originates Russian culture, Russian people. All right, I think those are all the questions that I see there. I'm not quite seeing any other questions, so I'm going to wait for just a few more minutes to see if any other questions come in. What were some of the Mongol accomplishments? I would say for that, you really need to refer to the Amsco reading. That's really what the Amsco reading talking all about. The large empire that they built, the great horsemen that they were, their effective trade along the Silk Roads and controlling the Silk Roads. Those are some of the things that I could say right now, but you really need to focus on what's in that reading to be successful on that question. Yeah, you got to know that chart on page 305, Jake. Studying that chart, I think, is really going to be the most helpful part of getting ready for tomorrow's quiz as far as that type of question. Yeah, the Vikings were from Scandinavia, and in importance with this chapter is they mix with the Slavs by kind of invading Russia, utilizing the rivers. They kind of did a really good job of coming in there and mixing and blending with the Slavic peoples that were there, forming the city of Novgorod, which was Russia's first city, then formulating the city of Kiev, which became Russia's second major center. So I think the Vikings were important in that regard as far as setting up early Russia. Belisarius was Justinian's best military general. That's really in a nutshell who he was. Why the Seljuks are what Section 3 was all about. The entire Section 3 that you did the homework on. That's what the Seljuks were. The Mamluks, I already answered. Those were those military slaves that the Turkish people utilized. Malik, I don't know the type of horse that the Mongols bred. I'm sure that they did have a horse that they really kind of preferred. I don't know the answer to that one. I'd have to look that one up. I don't. It's not going to be on the test, so I don't think it really matters to know the answer to that one. They did create a fairly large army, but they were nomadic, so they didn't have as large of an army as some of the settled or sedentary groups did. But yes, they did amass a very large army as they continued to conquer more and more areas, and then those people became part of of course, the empire, and they became part of the military as well. So I think you make a really good point there. They were very strong warriors, but as far as knowing the certain type of horse that they bred, that'd be something you'd have to look up. I don't know the answer to that one. Okay, I'm just waiting for some real questions. I'll hang on for a few more minutes, and then probably going to call it a night. Go ahead and get your questions on there, fellas, if you have them. Here's a question: would someone who's nomadic or settled conquer more land? Well, it's a good question, Lucas. I would say in the case of the Mongols, they had one of the largest empires in the history of the world, and they were nomadic. So they knew how to move quickly, they knew how to fight on horseback, and they also knew how to trade from their travels. So I think that gave them an advantage here. Now, you can look at some of the other empires, settled groups like England or, Great Britain. They were able to go out and use ships to conquer very big empires as well. So I think I really don't think that you can say one did more than the other, to be honest with you. I I would say that the fully armored horse that was showed in the slide that I showed you in the slideshow was really more to kind of show you like what the full extent could be. It would be very heavy to have all of that weaponry and armor on and be able to move quickly on the battlefield. Part of the factor of utilizing a horse on the battlefield is to be able to strike quickly, more quicker than your opponents are on the battlefield. So I think it was a little bit misrepresentative of the common Mongol. Okay. No, no, I'm trying to get away, Caitlin, of giving out extra credit. I gave so much extra credit in marking period one. I really don't want to give extra credit. I don't really. So one of the things is I want you guys to go and have fun. I think that it's good to support your school. And the only reason that I am calling for the volleyball team is I'm part of the team and I care about the girls on the team. And they've worked really hard. And I just think, we show up big time for the football games. And I've coached football too. And it's always great to have a good crowd. And I just think it's fun. I watch you guys and you guys have fun. And I think that that's always good to have school spirit. So, if the only reason that people are going is for extra credit, I don't know. So I'm not going to be given extra credit unless it's like outlandishly large crowd of realm members. Well, Anthony, I'm not going to answer the question for you. You're going to have to do some research. You got to know kind of what Justinian did to build an empire, and then you need to know what are some of the factors that led to its fall. You know what I mean? That's what you need to know, and that's detailed in the textbook. Okay, so and in the notes, so it's there for you. Basically, Justinian does a lot of building. He fortifies those walls, those key walls that I talked about in lesson. As far as for the fall, you got the plague of Justinian. You've got a lot of invasions from outsiders. Those are a couple clues for you, but you need to put in the work and make sure you know that. Yeah, Cooper, there's a couple versions. A lot of students in the later hours are getting tips from the earlier hours. I know that goes on, so I'm not going to really tell you. I'm going to have a couple versions this time, especially of the AP portion. So yeah, I'm not telling you how many there are. That doesn't matter. What's the difference anyway, right? Like whether there's 5 or 2, you still have to answer them. So hold on a second. Is Moscow the same size today as it was back then? Definitely much larger today, but that's not going to be something I'm going to assess you on. So I wouldn't worry about it. Well, Theodora was a very strong woman. She wrote letters to different diplomats from throughout the Byzantine Empire. She kind of called Justinian out when he was being a coward or not doing his job correctly. So she was a very strong-willed woman, and she, as sort of like the queen of the Byzantine Empire, did a lot to help Justinian rule. Sure. Vladimir was Princess Olga's grandson, and he's the guy who sent out those investigators to do reports on the key religions of the time, Judaism, Islam, and Christianity. He decides that Byzantine Christianity is the best for, of course, the city of Kiev, and then he has all of the citizens of Kiev baptized. He also was known to expand the empire's control to the west and to the north through military and diplomacy. All right. Any other questions? Please feel free to ask at this time. Not seeing any questions. I'm going to give it about 1 more minute, and then I'll talk about some final advice. I do want to make sure that you're saying thank you to your parents. I think it's important. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up on Thursday, and most of you have done very, very well in the class. So I'm very impressed with your ability to do that. But you wouldn't be able to be here or do that without the support of your family and your parents. And so I think it's important tonight to make sure that you tell them thank you. Make sure you tell your parents and your grandparents that you love them. It's always important to do those things. Be a good brother and sister. Be a great friend. Those things are much more important than anything that we do in class. So I want to make sure that you remember that. Let's see. I saw some questions pop in. Once again, here, Simone, you got to really refer to the reading. AP topic 2.1, early part of the page 74. That's going to talk about those Silk Roads. It's going to talk about all of those things that you really have to have an understanding of, the trade, the different groups that participated in the Silk Road trade, the map that's in the book that shows you kind of the routes that the trade happened to be with. Yeah, those are some of the key things. Yeah, Heimler's history has a video on all the sections. So, in AMSCO, the topics are 2.1 and 2.2. If you go to Heimler's history, you go to AP World History playlist. You go to Unit 2. Then what you need to do is go ahead and take a look at some of those topics there with Heimler. He's got 5 to 7 minute videos on both of those things that would help summarize some of the key ideas for you. I'm not saying that that's going to get you an ace on the AP part of this quiz, but it's going to help you get ready for the AP exam. And that's really the end all point of everything that we do. I saw a message here from a key baller. Look at that. We got Mr. Bobby Klaus, my main man. Miss this guy so much. He says, good luck to all the AP history ballers. Study hard and ball out tomorrow. Miss you all, Mr. Bobby Klaus. That's an awesome teacher right there. I really miss him. We used to work right across the hall from each other. And we've coached football for many, many years together. So thank you, Coach Bobby, for coming to the live review and sharing the message for the students. I hope that they will listen to you. Pretty cool stuff right there. Grant, the order of rulers, I'm imagining the order of rulers in Russia. That would be Rurik, the Viking king. Then you would have, after that, you'd have Vladimir, then Yaroslav, and then you jump to Moscow, which would be Ivan the First, and then Ivan the Third. As far as the order of rulers for the Mongols, you'll need to refer to the Amsco reading. Yes, G, I firmly agree. Definitely all miss Mr. Klaus. Malik, Mr. Sean Klaus is actually Mr. Bobby Klaus's uncle, not his dad. Okay. All right. Yeah, but gee, that's okay. Now you're getting extra credit in my class, so you're all set. You're all good. All right. Any other questions? I'll be on for about another minute or two, and then I'm gonna close it out. And of course, I want you to say your prayers tonight. But remember, don't pray for success on the quiz. I think more so what you really want to do is you want to pray for guidance to do the best that you can and to use your talents to the fullest. I think that's really what you always want to remember. Okay, well, hey, with that being said, I learned that I can use my phone if I have to. I'm sorry that it wasn't quite the norm for me, but it worked out. I think my phone's about to die because this does take a lot to run a live stream off your phone, but it worked, and I'm glad that we got it in. A little bit shorter this time, but nonetheless, I think you should have gotten what you need to get out of it. Well, I do want to tell you, I respect you that we're having a quiz, really quick after the last one, but only a 3-section chapter. But then also, I think it's important to understand that, what you put in, the effort that you put in, hopefully it pays dividends for you on the assessment tomorrow. I was a little bit less forthcoming. I'm really trying to get you to do a little bit more of the investigating on your own. I'm going to be that bridge for you, but we've been at it for 8 weeks, so now it's time to kind of, all right, here are some of the basic things you need to know. Here are some tips, but you got to take that and run with it a little bit and see kind of how you can do. So I'm hoping that you'll be here now tomorrow and rep the realm. I hope to see many of you in class, but also I would like to say, I'm just getting rattled by this last comment here. Malik, what do you mean by that, buddy? I will. It is good. I like cold pillows, so I think maybe you're onto something there. And then when you, that is really funny, man. That's just really funny. You're a funny guy, Malik. Okay, but anyway, I just want to say, hey, I hope that you guys have a great night, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow, both in class and then hopefully at the volleyball games to represent those young ladies that have been working really hard to represent the school. God bless all of you, and have a wonderful night.